I have to sit with this. Okay, I'll just take it.
It gives me immense pleasure to invite Nikhil Joshi as the speaker of 6th edition of our very popular event, JOT Talk, on this 3rd December 2022. Since the very commencement of GLS University's Institute of Design, we have been celebrating design every year in form of two immensely popular events, JOT Talk and Ahmedabad Design Fairs. The two events are organized every alternate. The first edition of JOT Talk was in 2017 and it has been a success. I invite Dr. Anand Sinha to welcome Nikhil Joshi with a bouquet of flowers.
Thank you, sir. And I should also take care of you. Now it is very important. You are such a big figure in design.
I request Dr. Anand Sinha to talk about it.
Okay, yes.
Please.
I was not supposed to talk, but I requested Arun to give me 2 minutes only. Many times it happens. Nikhil was an NID student in 2012-14.
10-12.
10-12, you know. At that time I was in the peak of NID, in NID Paldi campus. He was in Gandhinagar campus. It just happened that I have not taken any class for him. But yes, he knew me. I was also knowing him with the name, but not with the work. So when we started planning for the JOT talk, Arun told me about Nikhil, and he said the name of his company, which is the Digital Jalebi. I am very fond of Hindi film, many people knows. And one of the film, the dialogue was, "Naam mein kya rakha hai?" For the people for whom I am taking right now the corporate identity branding, they will understand नाम में क्या रखा है। नाम आप हो, और जो सही नाम होता है तो उससे आपका पूरा कैरेक्टर निकल के आता है। Digital Jalebi is a true representation of Indian design in the global market, and that you will experience with his work when he will show, and you will enjoy it. I will not take much time because Arun has to give a big lecture on introduction Nikhil. Try and learn as much as possible. More you will ask, more you will learn. So once you will finish it, then just dump many questions on him, because he has said that we will go at 4, but the success of this is from your end if you can make him to wait till 30, 20 minutes or half an hour more. With this, Arun.
Thank you, Arun. Belief Maker. Nikhil Joshi, Digital Jalebi creator of immersive storytelling and data-driven experience, a digital design studio featured in Your Story, First Post and many more. Only a few Indian studios such as Digital Jalebi can tap into untapped potential of immersive technology. I call it DJ. DJ's clients include Google, Cipla, MRF, Pepsi, National Geographic and many more. Nikhil has been into creation of real-time experience rather than mobile apps after completing his degree in new media design. He co-founded Digital Jalebi, an interaction design firm, and has created experience for people from all walks of life. The use of technology and users' needs to create amazing experience for the masses has been fascinating. His strong take is designer must now adapt to this new technology. Indian design education must adapt to this technological-driven world. According to him, education will become more universal and cross-disciplinary. This will also prepare Indian designers for growing field of speculative design, which uses designs to solve society's big problem. The problems of the world are so transdisciplinary that you have to use technology and design together to solve them. I hand over the dais to Nikhil.
Thank you. So this is working. This is working now. Am I audible with this mic? No?
Or you can use it.
I can't.
This is live.
Okay. I'll then use this. Hello. Okay, great. Can we start? Yeah. I'll just make it slideshow. and I'll keep telling you. Okay, great guys. First of all, really thankful to everyone for inviting me to this, I would say Gyan session, because I generally take up a lot of time giving Gyan about design, and my kind of design is very different from the design we have learned. Design evolves every year, and over the last 10 years, because of how digital has moved, the version of design I'm gonna talk about is very different from general design that people study. Fundamentals remain the same, but the understanding of design evolves, and you will also in future add on to that understanding. You will have your own versions of design. I'll quickly start. My name is Nikhil Joshi. I am a graduate of New Media Design NID 2010-2012. After post that, I started a company called Digital Jalebi. We are a 10-year-old studio now. We're a primarily experiential design studio, which means we create experiential digital content. It's a very niche field as of now, but over the years, the kind of digital transformation we have seen in the world, we are actually working with every industry and every different kind of clients. You'll see a lot of work here towards the end of second part of the presentation. And the way this presentation is structured, in the beginning slides, I talk about my journey of design. I talk about key things that I firmly believe. I'll also talk about key things I want you to, these are the things I would want to tell 10 years younger Nikhil Joshi, that these are the things which are okay to have, and you can build from there, become a better designer. And then towards the end of second part of the presentation, I talk about a lot of work that Digital Jalebi does. And post that, I'm all open to all the difficult or simple or whatever kind of questions you have. We'll use like the next 30 minutes for that. We can start with this. Oh, great. Yeah, next. Okay, so my journey started in 2010. And it started the first month. So I come from a background of game development and undergraduate with zero skills in design, visual design, or I would say hand skills. So this was the first ever artwork that I created. I was asked to create like a cactus tree, and I was so proud of it because मैंने ऐसा कुछ कभी बनाया ही नहीं था. And this is when I was just convocating. You can also see आपके Arun sir here. And I transformed completely in those 2 years, 4 months roughly. From someone who never knew how to hold a pencil, and someone who was very introvert, someone who didn't have any confidence in design. Maybe some of you could relate to that. Someone who was not good at spoken English, to someone who could actually come out of a design school and start a design studio, and then went on to work with global companies. This has been a very, very crazy journey for me also. Next slide. So, yeah, I was underconfident, bad at communication. I was not at all a designer. The kind of designer I find myself right now, or the designer that was the designer what used to be at that point of time 10 years back, I was not even close to that. I never knew how Design Janta used to speak. A lot of my batchmates in post-graduation were from NIFT and other colleges who had very good hold on how to talk about design, how to critique design, how to present their work, and so on and so forth, so many things. But actually it is okay. It is okay because as a fresh person who's learning design, you have tremendous ability to come out as a new age designer. As someone, it's like you are like that raw mud, आप कैसे भी उसको sculpt कर सकते हो. But if you are someone who has already learned something out of, and nothing against NIFT or any other design school, but if you've already learned a way of how design should be and you look up to XYZ, then it becomes a barrier for all you also to kind of mold yourself to become a transdisciplinary designer. Here I want to add, I think this was like one of the professors at NID only told, and like 12 years back, that there's nothing called disciplines, it's only design. So you come out of any discipline, whether it is product, apparel, whatever design schools, like at NID there are so many design disciplines. But at the end of the day, when you work out in the real world, you're actually dealing with design problems where you will interface with modalities and material. अभी material कपड़ा हो सकता है, material लकड़ी हो सकती है, material coding हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. But you are ideally trying to transform an emotion into a tangible stuff. So if you think you will come out as a fashion designer or a communication designer, it is not going to be true in next 5 years. That is for sure. That has happened with me. All the projects that I lead today, I've studied new media design, which is primarily dealing with how interactions between computer and humans and spaces happens. But today we deal with architecture, today we deal with communication design, sound design, visual design, apparel design in our projects. And all the people that I work with are dealing with same design discipline, truly transdisciplinary. So don't try and set barriers for yourself that I am gonna be XYZ designer. If you have time, go to an apparel lab. If you have time, go to a wood workshop. If you have time, go and see if somebody is programming something, some electronics. Abhi time hai. In future, actually the barrier you're setting for yourself will become the barriers of your life in next 4 or 5 years. And then there's no like coming back to design schools. Next slide. Yes, your life is going to change 100%. If you're someone who honestly loves his or her projects, who honestly likes what you are being taught, who honestly is curious about design, your life is going to change, because design is so unpredictable. You end up working with amazing people, you will end up traveling to amazing places, you'll end up meeting amazing clients, you'll end up doing it's like a shortcut to success. I have met like crazy super important people just because I am a designer. As an engineer, I might not have met or even reached there in like 15-20 years, but just because of design, just because of creativity, just because like we are like water, we can flow anywhere, we can take any shape. It really allows you to let amazing things happen to your life. So I think you should take this very seriously. Let design frame you, mold you, and you just like let yourself go with design. Whatever you're learning in the discipline, outside the discipline, what you're observing, just try and absorb everything. Next slide. Okay, for that, yes, the mindset that you require is you have to be fluid. अभी कोई बैरियर नहीं है. मेरे को लकड़ी भी सीखना है, कपड़ा भी सीखना है, कोडिंग भी सीखना है, विजुअल डिजाइन भी सीखना है, साउंड भी सीखना है, स्पेसेस भी सीखना है. I need to know everything, because when I enter a meeting, a massive meeting, say very practical example, we were having some discussions with a global client on Qatar World Cup. And when you enter such a meeting, you are not just a visual designer, you are a designer. When you make a remark on a concept or a design, you talk like a designer, you put up challenges for yourself कि अच्छा sound design कैसा होगा, how it will go with the visuals, how would the space would be designed. So ये सब, all of that starts from here. You want to waste couple of years and then realize कि ये सब आना चाहिए था, and then again spend 2-3 years. So 7 years down the line, if you want to be successful, अभी किसी को नहीं भी होना हो successful, वो अलग बात है. But if you want to be successful, you start right now. Then obviously unlearn. If people studying here are from PG also, like no undergraduate, great. So yeah, if you are from sciences and commerce, just unlearn that. उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. A commerce person can also learn. A lot of design is science. A lot of interaction designs. Actually, lot of design in science and psychology. So आपको वो सब तो सीखना ही पड़ेगा, and you have to slowly learn about how people interact with things, how science works, how physics works, chemistry कैसे चलता है, क्या है कपड़ा science and wood and everything is physics, chemistry only. So be open to that. Then absorb a lot. Everything that is going around you, you should try and absorb. So right now, if in future, 2 days from now, I ask you to design an auditorium, you should know what challenges Nikhil was facing while he was a speaker. Audi में और क्या हो सकता है? So try and absorb, and it's like a conscious effort to constantly look for challenges that a consumer or a end customer might be. I am a consumer here, one of the consumers. You are also in some respect a consumer. You are people who are coming and joining us in the auditorium. Maybe AC बहुत ठंडा कर रहा है, वो बहुत सारे challenges हो सकते हैं. So you start observing that. I think वो बहुत important. Last is celebrate everything. Celebrate that you are a designer, celebrate that you have time to do work on your project, celebrate that इतना interesting चीजें आपको करना है. You would have ended up in a engineering जहाँ पे आपको एक set syllabus पढ़ाने वाले थे. So you should, because all these smaller things actually helps you get in the right frame of mind to start working. If you're celebrating, if you feel यार आज तो बहुत अच्छा दिन है, I have so much of time, I have a week to create a crazy project, that mentality really helps you. And if I keep thinking अरे क्या करना है, सर ने दे रखा है, एक हफ्ते में करके दे दा है, so then you're gone from that day only. You won't be able to pull off interesting stuff. Next. Yes, my key learnings as a designer over the years has been understanding people I think that is very, very important. When I say people, everyone, people who work at this institute, from a management perspective, they could be from security, they could be your peers, they could be your teachers, what people think, the backgrounds they are from, how they react to situations. I think yes, of this, all of this is encyclopedia that you are slowly building into yourself. If you, a lot of you might learn about research and all, but actually practically in industry, you never get time to research. There's nothing called research. It's always a problem statement comes, and out of your bag of research over the years you pick up the solution कि यार मेरे को लगता है ऐसा होना चाहिए. These are the decisions I'm, because of that long term proper ethnographic research और कोई भी research format के लिए 90% of the businesses will not give you time, and that's for sure. That's coming from industry, from all the major players. I think being critical, asking the right question. Just because I said कि अभी AC ठंडा कर रहा है ज़्यादा और ये problem, तो you have to ask the right questions. क्या ज़रूरी, what are the important problems that this auditorium could have is a genuine question. You can't be asking foolish questions, wasting your time. So be critical at what you are asking. Is it actually a problem that can be solved is very, very important. Then being humble. As a designer, you have to be very, very humble, very, very respectful towards others, towards your work, towards everything. आप जो सीख रहे हो, आप किसी को बता रहे हो, while you're working with someone, you're going to labs, in your life. I think being humble, and you might think ठीक है वो तो एक general call life aspect that you should be humble, but designers have to be humble, because that humbleness also, it's like if I am designing a product, it's Nikhil's product. Now if Nikhil is humble and he wants to take care of you, the product will also take care of. It's a characteristic that I pass on to the product also. So you have to bring change to yourself slowly for you to automatically impart those characteristics to your products, your services, your UI UX design, everything. और यहाँ पे I am not talking about one design discipline. Everything, every product, tangible product that you make will have some fragrance of you. That is why हम कहते हैं ना वो किसी बड़े डिजाइनर ने बनाया, that has that fragrance, and that fragrance comes from you. So you have to build up these things slowly, identify that they are so important in life, and yes, open your mind to everything. Any design discipline, कोई मूवी देख रहे हो, कुछ भी कर रहे हो, try and learn from everything. Everything is your field from starting today. I personally believe that if you want to be like really good at your work, every inch of the world, nature हो गया, architecture हो गया, digital technology हो गया, material हो गया, textures, so everything is your field, your discipline. Learn from that. Yes, you are not trained to get a job outside. You get trained to push design as a powerful enabler. A lot of people constantly, when they are, and this has been my observation in the last 7-8 years, students, they get bogged down by कि मेरे को internship का offer कहाँ मिलेगा, या मैं यहाँ से वो second year में ही decide कर लिया कि मैं fourth year में कहाँ job पकड़ूंगा. So maybe you will end up in Microsoft, but let me tell you, Microsoft is also not good. So let's not create again that barrier for yourself. You are just like doctors, CAs, you are a very, very responsible person getting trained to like push design outside. If you end up in a conversation outside in the real world, you will be facing actual problems. और अपने कोई वैल्यू नहीं देते हम लोग. यहाँ डिजाइनर को क्या करना है, डिजाइनर को UI UX का जॉब पकड़ना है, या डिजाइनर को the first job he will get. But if you start thinking yourself as important as a doctor, somebody who will truly solve a problem, and it's very difficult, somebody who can cut through disciplines, understand the problem and present the solution, such a powerful thing too. But for that you have to start believing in yourself कि मैं ऐसा कर सकता हूँ. I am an important person. What I am studying is important. What they are teaching me is super important. I'll take it very seriously. Yeah, next. Doing great work is okay, but making it reach to masses is your task. Yes, again, a lot of good design students do fabulous work. I was a very average design student, like पूरा पढ़ने के बाद भी I was very average. But your task of actually coming out, starting something on your own, maybe doing a job, but taking work to masses is a very different game. अभी आप you might design a great product, great dress, great furniture piece in your design school, but this design school or any design school is a vacuum जहाँ every experiment is perfect. When you actually go out, you realize कि everything was great with my furniture piece, बस जो मैंने लकड़ी खरीदा था उसके लिए वो बहुत ही महंगा था, and it crashes, the entire project crashes, because in the real world you first talk about cost, then you talk about marketing, and then finally design takes its place. तो इतना सब तो अभी सीखना है आपको. You have to learn so many things. So your goal is to become a designer that can push things for the masses. That's the idea of design also. Design fundamentally is meant to solve problem of masses. It is not meant to go on social media for likes. You have to seriously take it. You will end up learning this. ऐसा नहीं कि you won't learn this, but you will end up learning this, losing 5, 6, 7, 8 years of important lifetime as a designer. And then you will, at my age, I'm 34 right now. At my age, you can't go back to a design school. You can't even, you don't even, like with all the responsibilities of life, you can't really go back to learning design in any form. So I came out when I was 23 of PG. So after that, hardly you get a chance. So use this time and then a couple of years to really practice authentic, responsible design, which is meant for the masses. Try and make your choices of job, of starting up, ये सब सोच के, because this is really going to change how you will evolve as a designer, come out as a designer. Next slide. Yes, this is a vacuum where every experiment is perfect, and learn everything, but don't think if you're famous, if you've done a good project, then you're really good for outside. वैसा बिल्कुल, that's not true. You really want to do something, try and scale it up, try and sell the chair. So if somebody designs a great chair, then make it a task that you sell it to 10 people somehow. Once you sell it to 10 people, then I can say you are a good designer, because वो 10 बेचने में you will never even come to me saying कि अच्छा design किया था. You will realize only that my designs were very poor from a costing point of view, logistics point of view. There's so many aspects of taking design to customers. उसमें तो पूरा दुनिया उल्टा हो जाता है designer का. And that's the design. It's like you only get trained from one side of the coin. The other side you see in the real world, but you could obviously prepare for that. Because when the dice or the coin rolls, आपको तो आपकी दुनिया घूम जाएगी. You will realize कि मेरे को तो कुछ आता ही नहीं है real world में. Next slide. It is important to earn well, and for that you have to become a good designer. I keep listening to a lot of ज्ञानी designers who say कि यार मैं designer बहुत अच्छा हूँ, या I do. But commercial world ऐसा नहीं है. Commercial world ऐसा है, बुरा है. वहाँ तो अलग type के shrewd लोग चलते हैं. This is not true. If you are a good designer, if you are someone who understands how to take a product to masses, then you will earn well. मैं लिख के guarantee दे सकता हूँ. So if somebody is telling you you can be a good designer and not earn well, I can't buy that. You are a good designer when you complete all those things of taking products to masses, to learning every aspect of design. Design doesn't ends at creating the product. बिल्कुल भी. So if some of you towards 4th year you will start talking in these terms only कि यार मैं तो बहुत अच्छा हूँ, बस या तो job नहीं मिल रहा है 1 करोड़ वाला, या something is not working out. If it is not working out, there is something wrong with you. And you realize it quickly, because I have seen so many people getting filthy rich with design, and it is totally okay. The purpose of working hard in life is to become rich also. A part of purpose is obviously getting rich, and it is good when you can do good design, really work hard, and also become rich. It's the best combination. Next slide. Okay, now we will talk about Digital Jalebi's work over the years. We are primarily a digital studio, so most of the work that you'll see here is in digital and digital space, but we have touched upon very, very different aspects of digital over the years. And the important thing is, in India over the last 7-8 years, digital has become a very important stakeholder in any large corporate plan. So they really add value. So somebody is selling a car, can digital really help? Yes, we are helping those clients to sell an actual 15-20 lakh rupees ka car. That's real value. Exactly like a interior designer who makes a fancy showroom so that people like to enter the showroom. So real value addition, and that's a very key integral of any good design, that are you making me earn money? If you're making me earn money, then I am also going to pay you, and that's how you become a good designer. Next slide. Yeah, so we are a team of 60 people. We have 2 offices, Noida and Bangalore. I lead the Noida office. We are 40 strong there. We started with 2 people, I and my partner Syed Fawaz Ahmed. We were both roommates at NID, and we started in early 2013. We've just technically completed our 10 years, and from 2 we are now 60, and hopefully we'll become 100. Next slide. Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, no, that's fine. I have a lot of slides after this also. So these are the things that we are right now working with. We work with a lot of event tech, which means physical events that happen in the world. We do a lot of technology for physical events. We build immersive experiences, which means we do a lot of AR, VR stuff, interesting things that people like to have. Then we also do a lot of museums in spaces. So building an interesting experience center, building a museum. Content creation, a lot of content gets created. I'll obviously show you slides so that you understand these things better. And last is right now the buzzword metaverse. So we are also working on forms of metaverse, of how metaverse will be beneficial to a corporate client. वो क्या होता है? Actually, is there a value addition? Can we actually make someone earn money out of metaverse? So we'll also talk about that. Next slide. At DJ, we build powerful experiential stories, your brands and solution to engage. Yeah, I'll try and explain it. So this is first example we built. So very interesting brief. A new car company, this was 2 years back, a new car company came to India, MG, and they were finding it difficult to quickly open a lot of stores. Now that's where designers come into play. The problem was stores are so costly, so if they have to open car stores, every store will be some 7,000-8,000 square feet of space, and that too in commercial spaces in India is exuberantly costly. So what the entire team came up with was a very small format stores where there is no physical car, there is a digital car, and you can experience the entire car. And if you see those hemispheres there, they are the material finishes of the car. So obviously we don't say that you get the exact experience of the car, but there are so many things that are good about a digital experience. The first one being that in any car showroom you only get to see 2 or 3 variants of the car, where actually the offering is around 15-16 different variants of the car. So in digital you can quickly make your own car, quickly customize it. The second promise that the client was making is, if you choose a car, in 45 minutes you will have the car for a test drive at your home, wherever you. So these are the things now designers, they can't imagine this. This is what designers can do. So now they have brought down their cost of what was 1.5 crore to open up a showroom. Now we're talking about 30 lakh rupees. And they can open 6 showrooms. That's that's hard money converted, cash converted for them, and then they can also pay us. And these softwares can be multiplied to hundreds of showrooms. So this is one of the examples of how digital designers nowadays are bringing actual change, creating genuine value for customers. Next slide. Again, this was very interesting. Asian Paints sell a lot of upholstery material and they sell wallpapers, and they find it very difficult. Over the years, what has happened is, people when they come and talk to a salesman in a Asian Paint showroom, the salesman has to make you visualize, sir आपके यहाँ वो मस्त लगेगा, ये tablet पे आप देख लो कैसा लगेगा wallpaper. And that's what happens in any kind of furniture, paint shop, upholstery, curtains. ये पूरा जो interior decor segment है in the world, it's all about your imagination, because they don't really aid your imagination. They give you a chota sa pamphlet and all. So we put up these projection mapping setups in Asian Paint showroom. These are 30 now, 30 showrooms in India, where you can actually use a tablet to augment a real 1:1 scale wallpaper and a upholstery material, so that you can get to experience how it will look at my house. And this aids your imagination. We don't rely on your imagination, we just ask you to look at this. And what has happened is, because of this tablet also, what people are spending, so if the person is spending too much time on this particular upholstery material, the analytics also show you. Increasingly what's happening in the world is, designers are also designing for analytics. If you ever become a digital designer, in future everything will be digital, but digital design also optimizes itself. Simple example, आप Netflix देखते हो. Now Netflix का thumbnail keeps on changing for every person. It optimizes for different people, because it's somehow understanding who's spending more time watching what kind of content. So we are also, so it's not just designed for visual or customer, it's also designed for our clients, where more data is getting logged for analytics. And this is such a brilliant way for them to understand कौन सा wallpaper ज़्यादा बिकता है, because they have to fill up their inventory. They have 600 showrooms in India. अभी सब बोलेंगे कि ये wallpaper जो है इसका 500 यूनिट बना दो, तो वो बिकेगा नहीं तो क्या होगा? So this is how design can play such an integral role. They can't go and ask people what you like, but by this we are able to capture data which tells them that, okay sir, this unit is not selling, people are not spending time, so you only produce 500 units, that's it. This is our projection. This really helps in their overall optimization of business. Next. During the pandemic, a lot of our clients moved on to virtual platforms, and what they used to do before pandemic was call a lot of people for workshops, physical workshops, where there was like an auditorium like this. They will call people as speakers, and then workshops would happen, engagement activities. Now it became very difficult to do something similar on a Zoom or on any video calling service. So we built this metaverse workshop platform where you have this sense of space. So they actually invite you, and this is completely web based, so they invite you to a 3D space like this, and then people get to speak to each other. This is like we are increasing the engagement quotient of what a video calling could do, because I'll give a very good example of why video calling doesn't work. So if there are 10 people, you must have all done video calling, but in video calling I can't like slowly go and speak into your ear. I can't like separately talk to you the way. So if Professor Sinha is sitting and I can just ask Arun to come towards me, and then I can slowly speak to Arun and he might not listen. This is how social structures work. These are the dynamics of our social world. When a group is standing, if 4 girls are standing, मैं बोलूँगा नहीं मैं नहीं जा रहा यार, कोई लड़का ही नहीं खड़ा है वहाँ तो. So these are social dynamics that interaction designers understand. And can you build those social dynamics? Because when you are doing a workshop of corporate, there are CXO level people also in the workshop. There are managerial level. We don't want कि अभी CXO is just sitting besides the manager. So these dynamics, how do you play with the dynamics? So if the CEO is standing there in the metaverse platform, I'm not going there. But I don't want to overhear what's happening, what he's talking, because he might fire me the next day. So yes, building those social dynamics slowly in metaverse is what designers are doing, and this really helps people who are upselling workshops and all. Next slide. Again, yes, customers are building their stores in digital platform. This is an example of a marble showroom, and how do you experience marbles, and how can you actually make, because of the pandemic a lot of things moved to the web. So yes, we are building things like this. Next. Then interesting things, so a client UNICEF came to us and they wanted to talk about health in a subtle manner, because people quickly don't understand how taking care of your health could avert any dangerous thing that can happen to you. So we build up this yoga exhibit, and what you have to do is you have to quickly follow a very simple yoga position for a couple of seconds. Once you do that, we quickly tell you, so doing this for 10 minutes a day will keep your heart healthy or XYZ, and that quickly, because the barrier to entry is huge. A lot of people don't start with yoga because they feel yaar main to kar hi nahi paunga, ye to ho hi nahi sakta, and then also gamifying it. So that's like a very famous exhibit that we have designed, and we've like deployed it across the world over the years. Next slide. This is a metaverse solution we built for Amazon. A problem Amazon faces in their website is people are not able to judge the scale, and if they have to judge the scale, either they go with the pictures, एक respective picture होता है model के scale के साथ, coin के scale के साथ, or people have to go the dimensions and imagine कि अच्छा 29 inches है, 30 inches है. So we build up a metaverse platform where you can actually experience all the Amazon projects. This was a year ago, and this is how interesting things are happening. A lot of experimental work is happening across the industry where they're trying to generate true value, ki how people will experience it. And when VR headsets, AR headsets will become reality for everyone to like quickly buy as mobile phones, ye sab, like this will become the center of the content. Next. Yeah, in medical a lot of work is happening. Aap kisi ko, how do you give injections, how do you give medication? The training is very costly, because first of all you don't find patients. Second is you don't want him to end up giving a wrong injection to a patient, actual patient. So how do you do a lot of VR or augmented training to someone in pharma? So a lot of clients we work with make us work on training content. Next slide. Then again, a lot of training is happening across the industry in management of any kind of plant, thermal plants, nuclear plants, any kind of, so this is a fecal sludge treatment plants, and plants are built, but their entire maintenance or operation is very very complex, and every time a new person comes to the system उसको बहुत time लग जाता है सब समझने में, because you have to take him to different places and then generate a scenario कि ऐसा होगा तो ऐसा करना है. So this is now taken care by virtual reality trainings like this. This is a project we did for Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They invest heavily on maintenance or operations of fecal sludge treatment plants, which are related to hygiene and health. Next slide. Again, interesting project. This is a project, this is actually a recruitment event. So they were trying to recruit people and they wanted to judge hand-eye coordination, body reaction of a person. So we designed, this is in Qatar, and we designed this haptic. So this person is wearing a haptic jacket. There is a game going on. You have to quickly sort of, so whenever you hit a wrong target, you get a feedback on your body and you have to dodge all the gameplay is very generic. A lot of people must have played similar game. The interesting part is, can you use such a thing for a recruitment drive? Can you actually hire people based on it? And why not? This has proper mathematical data. We get to understand if your reaction time quick or not, and everything is getting logged. Next. Yeah, we build experience center. This is a experience center for FSSAI, which is the Food Safety Organization of India, which talks about how they work towards food safety across India. आप कोई भी खाना खाते हो, canteens में खाते हो, how do they take care of? And these are the different things that a company in digital now doing in terms of architecture, communication design, space design, digital design. Next. Another example of an experience center for Bosch. They wanted to talk about this particular example talks about how a 1956 Mercedes also had Bosch parts. So you give them a tablet, they look at the car through the tablet and they get to see so many Bosch parts, and that's how they establish this firm trust that Bosch is everywhere as an engineering company. You might not know it, but it has been across automotive or electronic products over the years. Next. Yeah. Doing interesting projects are one of our DNA or forte is to quickly experiment. Every second project we get into something else, and like I was telling, whether you are from commerce or science, light painting is a proper physical phenomena. It's physics, how the camera takes care of light and everything. So knowing all these things, being curious about all these things really help you to design interesting things like this, which can then be sold to customers. Next slide. Again, cloud companies like Google. So Google comes to us and asks us, we find it very difficult to make people understand our cloud offering, जहाँ से major पैसा आता है. Like AWS, Google also earns a lot of money out of Google Cloud. Now they find it difficult to tell developers how our services really help them. So we make very, very simple animated interactive content to make someone understand what Google Cloud really does. So if you are an institute like this, can you take Google Cloud services and solve some problems? That's what we do for them. Next. Yeah, creating simple games for candy clients and all. Next. We worked with ICC. We built this entire VR cricket thing. Again, clients like ICC also invest a lot on engagement activities to promote overall cricket across the world. This is a global tour that we did for them. Next. Yeah, how do you learn to sort of replace a car tire, especially the F1 Ferrari race car tires and all. This was did for an international client using virtual reality. Next. Yes, a liquor client comes to us and says that people don't understand the difference between liquor. There's a massive client called Glen Morangi. They come from the family of Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy Group. And they find it very difficult कि अलग-अलग शराब क्यों different होती है? Why is the cost so different? Now we make people understand whenever they get into a VR environment, they pick up a glass, different glass of whiskey, and we teleport you to where it is getting manufactured so that you understand the difference of how the whiskey has been stored, matured over the years, and why is it so different. People don't understand that if you really don't push. Next. Yeah, doing critical things. So we build for social sector organizations, we build these critical trainings like cardiopulmonary resuscitation techniques for especially infants. It's a huge issue in India when newborn babies are there. If people are not trained, especially ASHA workers, we lose a lot of babies because proper CPR techniques people don't know. And for us, challenges that we don't have infrastructure. We can't really call them for training. We can't really give them a lot of costly devices. We have to build something for their mobile phones. And how can you build a training for infant CPR on their mobile phones is a huge task, given कि उनका digital exposure is less. So like I was talking about observing, if you have observed, आपके घर में कोई maid आती है, आपने उनका digital exposure अगर आपको थोड़ा बहुत भी पता है, then you start, there is no research, this is just gut feeling of how you design for someone who has like either basic feature phone or basic understanding of WhatsApp. We take that as a reference and then we build apps, user experience, and this is very different from mobile user experience that you learn. This is experiential content which works in a very different manner. Next slide. Yeah, we build an experience center on web for Google Cloud, which ideally, next slide if you can, yeah, something like this, which quickly takes you to a city, and city has an institute, city has government buildings. We are good at building these stories. Stories are easier for someone to understand. So if you are an institute, you click in the institute, we'll show you what problems you might be facing, and then even Arun can quickly understand that what Google, because he is a decision maker at an institute, he might not know about what Google services does, but Google via us can quickly make him understand कि इतने बच्चे हैं, उनका इतना सारा management है, score sheets हैं, ये है, what Google can do, and those stories we actually design. And it's very interesting as a designer to see itna bada company hai, they have such a huge design team and everything, they are asking us to design all these things, but yes, this is true, they find it very difficult to communicate their services at times. Next slide. Yeah, this is a lot of AI driven cars are getting sold in the market. Now what happens is, whenever you go and buy a new age AI driven car, the salesman will start explaining you everything. Sir, ऐसा होगा, गाड़ी के आगे गाड़ी auto park हो जाएगी, गाड़ी खुद से चलेगी, but you're not able to imagine. So we build this augmented reality thing. This is a view from the tablet. So ये गाड़ी आपको खड़ी हुई है, but ये आपको पूरी moving दिखेगी, and then you get to see how the car reacts to an obstacle that comes in front, what decision making it takes. So constantly helping people imagine something so that the sales actually increase is one of the things that we constantly do. Next slide. Yes, thank you. Open to questions. नहीं चलेगा, आई एम ओके प्लीज गाइस आस्क क्वेश्चंस. मेरे को तो जल्दी निकलना था, मैं तो निकल जाऊंगा फिर.
Before you ask a question, I would like to understand what's your take on his approach of design. Was it too much to absorb? I think because what you have shown is the way it extends, design from a classroom can extend to just more than bigger thing using technology, and how simple observation. You have constantly been focusing on observation, which makes a matter most, and that you convert into an experience.
One thing I actually missed, sorry. One thing I missed is you have to be expressive while you are designer. तो पता है, ये तो आपने बहुत अच्छा ट्रेन किया कि चुप रहते हैं बच्चे पूरा टाइम. You should ask more questions. I think that is very important. It is okay for me if you don't ask questions, but I have personally felt I wasted so many opportunities in my life. I was just telling sir कि मैं कभी आपसे कॉलेज में मिलने नहीं आया. I should have come. I would have learned few things from it, because those things at the time of you getting molded as a designer matter. After 5-10 years उतना फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है. So be expressive, ask right questions. That is very important.
Would you like to talk about how the access to digital technology is trickling down? I asked this specifically in relation to the virtual car showroom, because I have a friend, he still does work with high-end automotive, show you all the variations, the upholstery, the this, the color, the models. And earlier he used to work with only the very high-end segment. By now he's even working, he doesn't work here, he's based in San Francisco. By now he even works with second-hand car keys. So the scope of digital interaction from the time he started 10 years back, where it was a very high-end thing limited to a few very high-paying customers, has now trickled down. So if you'd like to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Good question. I think the reason for that is students who are not opting out for transdisciplinary good digital practices, or they don't explore digital much. So there are very few studios who are working in this domain. And उससे होता क्या है कि cost बहुत rise कर, because if 5 companies, it's just the demand and supply thing. If there are only 5 companies and 200 clients, if you have to give services, we'll give it at a very high cost, and then the client will only end up selling luxury cars. But if there are good amount of designers who understand how to bring digital to very common people, because cost kuch bhi nahi hai, cost is of just an iPad. Everybody uses an iPad nowadays. So infrastructurally, no barrier. It's the skills that is a huge barrier in a demand and supply setting. And I think in last 5 years वो बहुत हो नहीं पा रहा है. Honestly speaking, I haven't really seen a lot of good institutes where good digital transdisciplinary designers come out, because बच्चे खुद, students don't explore by themselves, and somehow our education is not, design education in India is not very pro digital as of now. Interaction design as a word is highly misused across design schools, and उसका actual definition क्या है, fundamentally how things should be. A lot of work should happen, but yes, that's the reason. If there are more designers, it will just become a furniture piece which is affordable to everyone. उतना ही difference है. Yeah.
Hi sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, like the slides you showed us about the car and all, it's very nice to look at. Like हम final product देख रहे हैं, it's very nice to look at. But as you are the founder, I want to ask you how can you break down how it was done? Like who had the idea, who did the coding? Like you have the
Correct.
team of 60 people.
Correct.
So can you explain a little bit, break down a little bit?
Okay, so the last slide which we showed you where you were augmenting a car, it's primarily augmented reality. So first, whenever such a project starts, you have to have a designer at my level, someone like a senior lead designer who can conceptualize the entire thing, who understands the nut and bolts of how programming, feasibility check, then design understanding, whether user experience can be built, and then the business side of it, what technology is getting used, can it be scaled or not? Kya the MG car company can buy 200 iPads? Would that be possible? So all these decisions happen at my level. Then it goes to user experience team, which will do general UI framing to make the client understand the customer journey. How the customer journey. Abhi aap showroom mein aaye, you picked up an iPad, then you pointed at the car, how many seconds it would take to detect, what it will show, everything goes for an approval. Once that is done, then we do an animated thing, which is a more refined, polished user experience journey. Once that is approved, then the programmers jump into place and they use gaming engines like Unreal and Unity to build augmented reality apps. Once those are built, we go to stores for our first recce and testing. Once we find any bugs, we rectify it, और वो cycle चलता जाता है before we finally deliver the app to the customer. This is the process.
So everything is done in your.
Yeah, everything. So that's the difficult part of setting up digital Jalebi. Setting up a transdisciplinary team is very difficult. Our 60 strong team, majority of them are engineers, many of them are designers, and then there are architects, there are MBAs. So it's a completely transdisciplinary team, and that's why we are in a slightly niche business. It's difficult to manage such a team in India. Okay.
Told us that it was only you and your roommate when you first decided to start a studio. So I wanted to ask, how did you market yourself? Because
we just like you, so just imagine you're coming out of this design school. We were sitting one day, we thought कि यार job तो नहीं कर पाएंगे, job तो अपने बस की नहीं है, तो and my partner was 4 years elder than me, so वो already TCS से आ चुका था, उसने मेरे दिमाग में बहुत डाल दिया था job तो बहुत बेकार चीज होती है. So we ended up saying कि चल कुछ दिन करते, let's open Digital Jalebi. And luckily NID gave us our first project, which gave us a couple of lakh rupees. We did a museum. It was successful also. So we got seed funded from there. And then luckily there is no turning back. So ये चीजें ना, you don't really plan them, but you should have the conviction to stand by your decisions. You take a decision and conviction भी 1 साल का हो भी तो भी चलेगा. Like if it is not working, तो ये नहीं है कि 2-3 साल you have to be there, but be a little thoughtful कि I am making a decision, I want to start, I'll give it enough time, because it takes time. Yeah.
I have a curious question.
Yeah, please.
Why not digital kachori?
Okay. So generally people like sweets better. अभी कचौड़ी सबको, किसी को गैस एसिडिटी हो जाता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. So and coming from North India, I had this fascination कि jalebi, the shape. So jalebi का क्या है ना, you think, you look at it, you feel it is chaotic. There's a lot of chaos, but the problem is you're not able to identify the patterns.
What I mean to say is that
Yeah.
what exactly was the philosophy behind it?
Honestly speaking, there was no philosophy. It's just that I liked the name. Look, I can make several stories now, but as a 23-year-old, I had no stories. मेरे को जलेबी पसंद था. I thought कि इसका visual अच्छा निकल के आएगा और चलो बना देते हैं. अब तो I have a lot of stories. I've given a lot of stories to people also. But honestly, there was no thought. The thought was that there was no thought at that time.
I think it's working wonderfully.
It has. So when I was just convocating, my professor told me what kiddish name is this. यार ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है. And I was like कि यार ये तो नहीं चलेगा, ऐसे कैसे होगा? But over the year, it has worked amazingly well for me. I've worked with CEOs, CXOs. They all remember us, and that's very important. When you meet someone, if it doesn't, I'm not that smart कि वो वैसे ही remember करेगा मेरे को. So having a name that remains with people, have a higher recall value, has worked really well. और वो generally, if I have to today write about design business, I would always say have a good name to start with.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
a good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, just one more question. Sorry.
When we talk about digital interaction, we only focus on sense of sight and hearing. But when I go to a car showroom to buy a car, I'm spending a lot of money. I also like smell the rubber, also like sort of feel the car. How can we incorporate those senses in interaction with it?
You can actually, but look, that's what you will learn when you'll become a actual commercial designer. A lot of design is framed by your customer who is ready to. So you can do a lot of multimodality. I can introduce textures. I can introduce oral interfaces. गाड़ी कैसे चलेगा, accelerator पे कितना आवाज आएगा. But honestly, people are not seeking that as a feature in the showroom. They're first looking at the car. In India, the car is a status symbol from a visual point of view first. And if your client is not ready to invest into texture and oral interfaces, nobody will stress on that. But yes, you can explore that. Smell के साथ olfactory interfaces पे बहुत काम हुआ है, but it's very costly to work on that. It's not scalable at all. Plus, in a space like this, if you have 3 cars, अभी कितने olfactory interfaces बनाओगे, वो एक दूसरे के साथ mix हो जाते हैं. There are multiple challenges. So it's a good exploration. It helps you become a better designer if you are sensitive towards other senses. But generally, touch and feel and visual is primarily how people buy things. And कहीं ना कहीं design is all about constraint. तो ये सबसे बड़ा constraint है. और फिर customer कितना पैसा दे रहा है, वो सबसे बड़ा constraint है. ठीक है? Yeah.
Okay, just one more question.
Yes.
Obviously, you do commissioned works because that's what pays. But have you ever gone looking for something that doesn't work and says, I can, I can create a solution to this? I'm asking specifically with regard to something like Adobe Story, which Adobe created and then removed from the market because there were loopholes in the way, especially the way it worked in India. And if someone were to again come up with that for the OTT platforms in India, it would be huge.
Correct.
At the time when Adobe Story made it, it worked with BBC but not with the OTT platforms here and the producers here. It was this whole thing where everything was linked up right from your script to your page 3 or final
Correct.
edit.
Correct.
But they finally withdrew it.
Correct.
So have you ever looked for a problem and saying, if I can find a solution, it will be very marketable?
From what I understand, the answer is that we built something that we thought will work, but it didn't work in Indian market completely, which was outdoor digital screens in malls, in airports. We thought that these are such basic screens, utna bada infrastructure laga diya, screen laga diya, the video is running. Why can't we make it interactive, proximity detection, voice recognition, gesture poster? These are common things in our business we keep doing. So I increasingly spoke to people, if I can make one product that you add on to any outdoor screen, out of the home screen, and it quickly makes everything interactive, because separately उसी काम का मेरे को लाखों रुपए पे करते हैं वो लोग. Like I do a lot of such engagement activities in malls, but somehow it didn't work with a larger, like a scalable business where OOH company picks up that device from me and I provide all the services across India, and they have hundreds and thousands of screens. Like in Delhi only there are 25,000 screens with a large OOH player, but it didn't work. I never understood why. So this happens with brands. Apple releases devices that don't work out. So उसको समझना अपने आप में एक research है. You have to understand why it didn't. Till today I get paid for similar things in malls, but I can't use that OOH screen जिस पे already इतना infrastructure खर्च हुआ है. So yeah.
How is the Western digital world different from the Indian acceptability to this?
Let's come again.
How is the Western world's approach to this different from the Indian set of it?
I think approach-wise, it's just the customer's mentality.
You just mentioned twice that the Indian people look more visually than in engagement to it.
I think that's same for the entire world. This is my understanding, because all these companies, Korean companies that are coming to India with their cars, their ideology is very Korean and European and American. They don't have any understanding of Indian market. So whatever strategy, like I spoke about MG and other Kias and all that I work with, whatever they are doing, I already understand it's coming from their years of experience across these geographies. And people who are buying cars in India, people don't understand the utility of the car, which because of the experience. I haven't done research. It's just from my experience of talking to these customers that their India strategy is all about having a glam sham space and a really bright, beautiful car. People are buying AI cars. All the MG cars are AI driven, but nobody, and thousands of cars they have sold, but nobody is actually spending time understanding what AI really does. How does it detect? Because India में चलता ही नहीं है. Like nobody uses that AI feature. Nobody uses the AI feature. Even the client knows that. The car says on its back, internet inside. उसका क्या मतलब है? If you ask the brand manager, वो भी नहीं बताएगा आपको. So that's the problem. That's how they're marketing the car. That's it. Indians only want to have a glam sham buzzword. Internet inside. I have a AI driven car. What a AI driven car will do in Purani Delhi, nobody knows. Can it do anything? It won't do anything in India. I can tell you, as in I am an engineer now because I've spent so much of time doing tech. It can do nothing on Indian roads. हो ही नहीं सकता. So, and they already know that, but they know that Indians need that icing on the cake. That icing is all these words. That's it. I mean, electric hai. You're doing electric. If you do a proper calculation of electric cars, batteries and everything, their CO2 emission, overall carbon footprint is higher than petrol. If you genuinely do your research, किसी को नहीं, आधे marketeers को नहीं पता होगा जो electric car बेच रहे हैं इस वक्त पे. The amount of energy spent in building the batteries and then disposing them over the years is more than what a fuel engine does. Yeah, nobody does that. Yeah, nobody does that. I am a commercial designer. I am very, very outspoken about it. Commercial designers don't get time. People who are running companies in design don't get time to research.
So then you think your product will be very short-lived because visually
They want it to be short-lived, no? That's the idea. Every 2 years, 3 years, they want you to change the car or change the product. So nobody is wanting you to spend 10 years with the product. There are no stories about 10 साल पहले मेरे पास MG का गाड़ी था और ये था. Nobody is talking about that. It's a short-lived thing. Every second, third year, there's a new product. I don't exactly know if utility takes precedence in US, but in India, I can tell you, nobody talks about honest utility of the car. कि कितना कुछ लोगों को if it's their third car, second, third car. So I drive a SUV. I now have understanding of SUV. Next time I'll go, I might ask a few questions. But most of the people, even buying Fortuner, they are just because of the scale of Fortuner.
Anyways, one
Yeah,
last
yeah.
question. When you design a product, it has a livability that we are going to upgrade it continuously, like the visual mode of it continuously, or is it like you take it, deliver it for that movement only? Or do you have like a contract with
That's part of the brief. As a studio, we want to upgrade it over a period of time from a commercial standpoint.
do you keep adding the experience?
We create a scope. Yeah, we create a scope so that we can charge them again in future. Honestly speaking, but if the client has this understanding and they are very clear with their vision, they will tell us that we want a product that is that's something we can ourselves only update. So this comes from the client's vision also. Look, running a design business is very different from design. But the people who are driving design businesses are the people who are actually making change to the world. Not just designers, good, honest, ethical designers sitting at their own. Unse kuch, like, this is my personal views, but yeah, they're not changing the world.
I'll just add to this because it's true that okay, designers don't have time to do the research, but it doesn't mean that no research is done.
No, your life is research. For me, your constant life is research.
Trying to do the research because I was working on this ONGC project.
Yeah.
What ONGC did, they have hired the earlier group of researchers in Bombay, and they came with the entire research team, their what and how. But what Nikhil has talked about, the observation. Designer has to be observant all the time.
Yeah.
Observation is one of the techniques for the designers to do the research. It's not only the classical research, literature review, this and that can only give me the insight. Even the observation, analysis, and then finding the facts can also give us the research.
These are routes that we take. This is my route. But at the end, if you don't know how things actually work out, what happens in the real world, either by my observation or through a detailed design research process, and if you don't know, the product will fail. वो तो कोई बात नहीं. And this is again my views. I am still a student. So
Absolutely true what you said.
yeah.
But when we do our research, we get some very fine things.
Why not? Why not?
The research team will not get.
There are different nature of projects also. We are from one genre of design. So, any more questions? Yeah, please.
So, many a times I have this question, if not a job, so how could I come up with a startup? So, prior starting Digital Jalebi, what are the issues you faced and how did you cope up with them? So, where did the guidance come from?
So I was in college only. Straight from college I started Digital Jalebi. The beach mein I never faced an issue. I only faced issues after starting Digital Jalebi, which is putting up a team. It's very difficult to put up a design team in India, and design business, it takes time for you to become someone whom customers will trust. 2, 3, 4 years, and that's a very painful 3, 4 years of you spending time building reputation in the market, and still constantly also building a team, because a lot of investors. So my company is bootstrapped. We don't have any outside money for last 10 years now. There's no need of outside money. That's the beauty of design startups, design services companies. But yes, initially building, because if you are working with a good designer, he will end up getting lucrative offers from larger corporates, and it will break your team. So that's the most difficult thing. If you're starting, team banana is the most, and you have to wait for the time for you to become a little famous, and then things becomes easier.
So, Nikhil, based on the team building exercise,
Yeah.
so what are the qualities you look for the individual, and how you really come across that I want architect and other designers?
So generally, initially, we used to only look for people who have a knack of a little experimentation, not like a discipline-wise architecture chahiye, या electronics engineer chahiye. People who wanted to experiment, because they are very quick learners, and that's largely the criteria. I still, my production team, people who actually work on project management and all are different, are people in whose portfolio I've seen experimentation, people who have a knack of learning different disciplines and all. That's very important. Look, you can teach skills, but you can't have attitude. You can't train people with attitude. So if he has an attitude of experimenting with things, you can train him to be a coder or something. वो तो हो सकता है. So, and setting up that team and holding on to it for a couple of years is difficult. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Do you work with deadlines? If yes, do you struggle meeting the deadlines in something as the metaverse, which is so infinite?
Deadline is our life, bhai. Deadline is everything. I think if you give me a project without deadline, it will never happen. So deadlines is the most craziest and most difficult thing. It's a defining factor in any good company. If you can pull off projects into that's what makes you a company. The kind of processes, the kind of team, skill set, everything gets tested based on timeline. 2 हफ्ते में अगर एक exhibit design करना है, so you should have an amazing team. You should have really good processes. You have a good design ideology. You should have a good convincing power कि client से approvals लेने हैं. So yes, deadlines are very, very important. I'll give you a very good example. When I started one of my first projects, I had 6 weeks. और मैं डर रहा था. 6 weeks बाद मेरे को एक exhibit लगाना था मुंबई में. और मैं 6 weeks, मेरे को याद है अभी भी, मैं NID में आ रखा था और मैं डर रहा था किसी से बात करते कि 6 weeks में, क्योंकि 3 महीना मिलता था NID में, 3 क्या 4 भी मिल जाता था, थोड़ा रो दो तो. Today in digital Jalebi, we do every week we are doing 4-5 exhibits. और मैं तो अब सोचता भी नहीं हूँ. It's like वो मोटर स्किल्स होता है ना, चलता रहता है खुद ब खुद, पता भी नहीं चलता मेरे को. So this is how you evolve. You keep doing your rigor, it will automatically come. I think that.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, it looks fascinating as a student to me, but I don't understand technology. But I have a knack of experimenting. How do I get into it?
You don't have to get into technology. Why do you have to get into technology? Everything is technology nowadays. These chairs and everything has tech. I think bringing interesting different things together is primarily what new media or what experimentation is. Technology sometimes becomes the media, sometimes. So whatever you are expressing, so अगर apparels है, apparels में different materials are coming together, some chemical technique or some physics technique is getting used to build that piece of clothing. It's all experimentation, and that should be, because I, coming from a proper coding background, will never go there, but I am still a transdisciplinary designer. You, coming from a proper clothing background, apparel background, could do that, but you will also become a transdisciplinary. So even transdisciplinary design will have their internal niches, but yes, bringing a couple of things, couple of medias together, experimenting, वो important है. I can't go back and learn 10 years of apparel. You can't. हाँ.
That was my question on behalf of my discipline students.
अच्छा, okay, great.
Like, this is exciting, but the barrier which I as a student see is like a lot of tech is involved. So how do I go inside it to create such an amazing experience? But to begin with, I should allow myself in my classroom project to be the laboratory for everything to experiment, explore. Isn't that the case?
Correct. And maybe there is a barrier for Mr. Arun. There's no barrier for you. Like, given that you are undergraduate students in first, second year, ये barrier is only in their mind और कुछ नहीं होता. I would love to. I had a very dear friend, Arun की भी dear friend. I used to spend a lot of time with her. उस चक्कर में मैंने थोड़ा draping सीख लिया. So this is how things are. You should have just interest, curiosity.
By the way, our bookings here in the library.
The thing is, there is no barrier for Arun even. He can do anything or everything, and he is doing a lot of other things as well. The barrier is there in the mind.
बस
and
इतना
not
ही
in
होता.
the actual.
I agree, totally agree with this. Yeah.
I must say one thing. One who asked what is the kind of problem which you faced when you started. So think of that. Okay, what time he started. Given this a good start point, Pritesh, we can call all our graduates who have started recently, and one day we can have a session with our graduates. Many of our graduates, they have started their own.
Nice.
Even in Ahmedabad, a group of students, in Rajkot, a group of students, in Baroda, a group of students. We can call all of them and have a separate session for you so that you will understand from your environment, how you can start your own. There's a lot of things. Nikhil is too successful here. I tell you, the first design studio which came from NIT was that Satish Gokhale's.
Correct.
When he was a student, and we were working on the discovery of India.
Okay.
तो स्टूडेंट है और हमें फैब्रिक फाइबर का प्लेट लेके आता है कि दिस इज हाउ यू कैन मेक योर केव अनिल.
Okay.
On the student side, that it's an attitude, it's a that, and it's a experimenting and getting into that. That something is needed. And one boy who has asked about the deadline, you have to really understand the meaning of the deadline. Completing the assignment is not the deadline. Deadline is the learning. नहीं assignment complete किया तो 40 मिलेगा. But number is a game only in the institute, not outside. Outside is the crore.
The outside world is very ruthless. It's going to be very difficult. It's the starting up is the most difficult thing that you can do to your life, but it's the most beautiful thing that will happen to you also. So it's completely your choice. Yeah.
On behalf of the JLS Institute of Design and students, I thank you, Nikhil, for coming here at such a short notice and being such informally formal about everything and being open to. I like this idea that he never answered a question as like a spokesperson. He said that the reality is this, that, and that brings us to the fact that we need to acknowledge all these things and become what we are really looking from us. Thank you, Nikhil, for coming.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just take a picture with you guys. Just take a picture. Yeah, very nice.
Thousands of students have actually studied under me or with me. But there are some students who make the learning really a worth. And here is the Nikhil who has done that.
Hi, sir.
It's your presentation or your discussion has actually given me a lot of confirmation and also a lot of ideas that how to take this forward. But any idea will only be as successful if the executors are aligning themselves better with the ideas. Because at this stage, we as a faculty or as the institute cannot get into the execution. You can only be planning, you can execute it through you. So your success is in your hand and you have to take the initiative to make it a success. Then only it will work well. But I must say, Nikhil, it was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
It's so nice here.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. मैं तो आगे चल.
Yes. Yes. कुछ कहना है?